Happy Monday. Hi, guys. Testing. 1, 2, 3. All right. So, listen, I'm still experimenting for the month of August. So, I'm live at 3 on Monday, and I'm never live at 3 o'clock doing Dana with the Dad on Monday. And I want to try something different. Monday nights is usually the Man Up show with me and Judge Joe Brown, and that's usually live. But today I have a little bit of a twist. I pre-recorded the Man Up show, and I want to see how it does Monday night, right? It's going to be pre-recorded, it's going to be uploaded, and it's going to premiere tonight. So you guys get to see me live today.
All right, how are you?
During the day today. Let me get this out of here. So yeah, and so I'm curious how the numbers will do today. And I may go back to, again, Mondays is usually a slow day. So I may go back to doing uploads Monday afternoons, going live Monday night, or just uploads during the afternoon and night on Mondays. So it is what it is. But I'm here. Happy Monday, start of the week. And let's get into it, because today we're going to be talking about New Orleans mayor. That's going to be the first story I talk about. Miss Thing got indicted. She got indicted. Yes, she did. And then I also want to talk about the Jillian Michaels CNN debate on slavery. I want to touch on that. And also the creme de la creme, Amanda Seals on Jubilee. That was really good. However, it was disappointing that those so-called Black conservatives just fell flat. It was the regurgitating talking points that made no sense, that was not founded in facts, and just the lack of an intellectual challenge for Amanda Seals. So yeah. And then I think I am going to open up the phone line. So I am going to open up the phone lines today. So let's get started. I want to start with this. Let's see how this look here. Yeah. So Democrat New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell has been indicted by a federal grand jury after an FBI investigation for corruption. Democrat corruption is finally being prosecuted, right? So I want to play this. I want to play this news clip of that incident. No, this has to be paused here, because I'm calling this a Fannie Willis 2.0.
Relationship that led to today's indictment.
As Gabby Hillard reports, they say corruption has crippled our community for years.
And today's indictment outlines a betrayal of that trust by Mayor Cantrell and Mr. Vappy.
FBI agent Jonathan Tapp investigated New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell and her former bodyguard, then senior police officer Jeffrey Vappy, for years. On Friday, Tapp stood with two colleagues from the FBI and acting U.S. Attorney Michael Simpson, proclaiming the investigation a duty to the city.
But the FBI is committed to the people of New Orleans and Louisiana to methodically address every element of an investigation. And that's exactly what we did here.
Simpson agreed with Tapp, saying he's not concerned with Cantrell and Vappy's personal relationship, but rather that he says they benefited from taxpayer money.
It's irrelevant that it's romance or that it's female. What is relevant is that it is an incredible breach of the public trust.
Despite Cantrell and Vappy's past frequent and vehement denials of a personal relationship, Simpson says the case against them is strong.
So I won't comment on specifically the evidence, but one thing I've learned as a federal prosecutor over a long time is that you really don't say anything unless you can back it up pretty definitively.
In the 18-count indictment, prosecutors say Vappy lied to federal agents and Cantrell lied to the grand jury. The feds also say Cantrell attempted to obscure and obstruct the investigation. In the past, Cantrell has said allegations against her were politically motivated.
I'd say that's a nice defense. That's a defense that you would use in court.
Cantrell's office says her attorney, Eddie Casting, is reviewing the indictment. Vappy's attorney, Harry Rosenberg, didn't answer a phone call request for comment. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the investigation into Vappy and Cantrell is ongoing.
The FBI has a duty and obligation to investigate and work with the U.S. Attorney's Office and our partners to hold individuals accountable who put their interests ahead of those they've sworn to serve. No one is above the law.
Gabby Killett, Fox 8, local.
A lot of questions.
Okay, so and let me go here.
They put
Because
then they're a criminal.
Oh, where's the thing at here that I want to? Yeah, this. So Mayor Cantrell, she has one count conspiracy, count 3, 4 wire fraud, count 6 wire fraud, count 8, 9 wire fraud, count 11 wire fraud, count 14 conspiracy to obstruct justice, conspiracy to obstruct well, that's count 16, count 17, 18 false declaration before a grand jury. So you lied to the grand jury. That's not good at all. And yeah, you have all these wire frauds. Why are these women in public office? Why are they having these love affairs with men they work with? Granted, a lot of people end up sleeping with coworkers or whatever, but sleeping with someone and letting it be a booty call and not going on trips or dates, as opposed to being a full-fledged relationship, is slightly different, even though both is still messy. But you are the mayor. Why are you sleeping with the help? And then spending money. Yeah, mayor while black. Now, I mean, there are a lot of white politicians that do the same thing. They continue to do the same thing, but this is an ongoing. You have Tiffany Hayer out of Dalton, the city of Dalton in the state of Illinois. Fannie Willis, right? Like that was a whole thing last year. Letitia James now, she's under investigation. It was a black judge out of Douglas County in Georgia. So Marilyn Mosby out of Baltimore. Now, if there are other public officials that are just as messy, the media don't focus on them. The media focus on you. And it may be because you are a woman, and it may be because you are black. Either way, you know you have a target on you. A lot of public officials do. So why give people something to come at you? And on top of that, why are you spending taxpayers' dollars on dates and trips and hotels? Just messy. And it gives a bad example for women in any type of leadership position, because it looks like you can't keep your knees closed on the job. So I'm calling her Mayor LaToya Cantrell Fannie Willis 2.0. Because that's exactly what she is. And I was going to talk about Fannie, and I was going to give a good story about Fannie Willis, and I may just do it later in the week, not today. But yeah, because I wanted to just quickly highlight this bozo the clown here. Your career is over, and you may end up in jail. I don't know. But Judge Joe Brown, me and him talked about this on the show tonight. That will be premiering tonight. So you guys get to check that out. All right. Moving on, right? I want to go to CNN. CNN So over no. So over the weekend, not over the weekend, I think it was last week, Jillian Michaels was on CNN. They have this roundtable debate. And she said something about slavery. And I was going to do an upload on this video, but I did not. So I said, you know what? I'll talk about it Monday during a live show Monday. And by the way, I may not be doing any more Monday in the afternoon live shows. It's just not working on my channel. I don't. But anyway, I want to play this clip and talk about it, briefly talk about it.
Random person on into the Smithsonian. He's effectively now has some random person deciding what is appropriate for the Smithsonian to teach in terms of American history, things that don't offend parts of the MAGA base, right? So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with dear leader and what the MAGA
Can we
organization
address
wants.
some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Yeah, slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like, forgive me
He's
for
not
saying that.
whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No.
Okay.
He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you look at
slavery,
let's talk about the fact
Slavery in America was.
do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were
Do you know
the slave
who
owners.
was the first race to
I didn't
try
realize
to
this was
end
controversial.
slavery?
Okay,
Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised
This is
that
an
you're trying to
extraordinary
litigate.
exercise in historical revisionism. I would say.
I'm really
Historical
surprised.
revisionism. Do you realize that
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and
I'm
who
not.
was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is
in
that
the context of American history.
Okay.
In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by
I'm
saying that
you
it was white
cannot-
people oppressing black
Every
people?
single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And that's just not the truth. Like, for example, every single exhibit, I have a list of every single one. Like, people migrated from Cuba because white people bad. Not because of Castro. Yes, no, it's in there. That's what I'm saying. You don't actually know what's in there. Do you know that when you walk in the front door,
what exactly,
the first thing you see is a gay flag?
Jillian, you have a lot of stuff in front of you.
Yeah, I do,
What
because I don't,
exactly
because here's the
are
thing.
you talking about?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please.
There's one called Change Your Game, right? This has been an installation there. Is gender testing fair in sports? Does that, and then it goes on to talk about how it's complex to do gender testing in sports. It's not complex. It's basic science. That's untrue. It's XX chromosome, XY chromosome. That's sports. Is it fair to have biological men competing against biological women in sports? No. But why is this in the Smithsonian? So it's been completely captured.
First of all, I don't.
And
think
it's totally partisan.
First of all, we don't have time to litigate
Of
all of this.
course we don't, because then you're going to lose the argument. And if everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me.
It's like, oh, I can't believe you're trying to suggest, that slavery
just to
is
be
a good
clear,
thing.
you brought up race.
No,
this was a conversation about the arts, and you brought up race.
It isn't.
You brought up.
But the whole point of this is that the issue
you brought up slavery, and you brought up the question of whether. You brought up the question of whether or not slavery in the United States is about race. The answer is yes.
I did not say
in the United States
don't
is
straw man
about
my argument,
race.
because that's not what I said.
So what are you
brought
talking
up
about?
slavery, and what I was talking about is that this isn't really about that. When you make every single exhibit about white imperialism when it isn't relevant at all, that is a problem. So when you're talking about Cubans leaving Cuba and you make it about white people bad, that's not accurate.
Can I just say, zooming
that's
out,
my point.
All right, we're going to move on.
I was saying on the arts thing, I think why this is.
Yeah, so I don't understand what this girl, what she was trying to, the point she was trying to make here. Jillian Michaels. First of all, why is she on the panel? She is a fitness entrepreneur. And a lot of people, whether they are political commentators or not, a lot of people don't know American history. Black American history is part of American history. They don't know Black American history. They don't know regular American. They don't know nothing, but they have an opinion, right? They have an opinion, and sometimes an opinion can lead to an entertaining debate or discussion, but it's like an echo chamber because if you were talking about gender and the arts, how are you now bringing in slavery? And she's trying to make a point of only 2% of the white population were slave owners, as if the rest of the white population during slavery time did not benefit from slavery, because they did. That's how you had overseers. They didn't own slaves, but they oversaw the slaves. You had the slave catchers, which would be, the police department today or whatever. You had a lot of different industries, jobs created out of slavery, jobs for white people, the advancement for white people, because you had free labor to mass produce and create wealth for this country and to create infrastructure. So this whole notion that only 2% of white people own slaves, so that makes majority of white people not bad, only 2%. Well, it does still make white people during that time, and it still make you a bad person. And it makes you a bad person because if you mean to tell me only 2% of the white people of that time only owned slaves, then why didn't the rest of the white population fight against slavery so that it would not have lasted 250 years in this country? So you white people benefited from slavery, whether you own slaves or not. That's just a fact. And she could not articulate that because she did not know that, or she's just worried about stop painting white people bad. And it's not about that. And so, again, how can you go from talking about gender and the arts to slavery, and then you present this false equivalent of facts regarding the history of slavery pertaining to white people? So I don't get it. The slaves' descendants are still old. Who cares how many own slaves? Exactly. And people want to say, well, black people own slaves. Okay, you could count on one hand how many black families own slaves. And that's still bad for anybody to own anything. So did Indians. So did the Native Americans. They own slaves. Slavery did not start or end here in America. Slavery has been an institution since the beginning of time, and it continues on today in the world. So, but it's very unfortunate that a network like CNN and other networks actually prop up and promote these unintelligent, unaware, ignorant people who don't know shit. Like, just stick to your business of fitness. Nobody's not telling you about the fitness business. So how can you sit up here and debate with a black person who knows about their history? You sound like an idiot. She sounds crazy. So speaking of CNN and slavery, and let me put this here. Yeah, people can call in. I could put that in there. Okay, I put the calling number, so if anybody want to call in, you could call in.
Line unmuted.
Okay. So, and I just realized, like, 3 p.m. is not a good slot on Monday to do a live. It's not. Unless something, I don't know, but I don't think it is. I don't know. This is testing August. The month of August is just me testing because I'm really tweaking a lot. I'm curating I'm curating content to make it more focused. So yeah, so this is me just thinking out loud. I'm speaking out loud what I'm thinking. So now I want to get to the main event of today's show, Amanda Seales, because I watched that I watched the debate of Amanda Seales Sunday on Jubilee because it dropped 12 p.m. on Sunday. And I thought she did a marvelous job. 20 conservatives against one black radical. She calls herself a black radical. She's not a Democrat. She's not a liberal. She says she is a black radical. And so I want to start off playing this clip because this was towards the end of that debate. And let me just say this. Oh, I need to make myself. Let me say this because I'm going to bring this up. All these people that was in this and part of this Jubilee that were the black conservative, every last one of them failed. The ones that came up to sit failed, maybe except for maybe the last man, but they all failed. And they failed because they are not well educated. They are not well versed in Black American history or just American history. They are using talking points from certain people out of the Trump MAGA universe, and they think that is true and factual, where in reality, it is not. It is not. She schooled this little boy, and he needed some schooling. And then I also noticed during this debate, several of those people that sat in that seat were immigrants. They were black immigrants. And that does make a difference. It's a difference that matters. Because, we have this thing online where, they're being called tethers. In some incidents, they are tethers. And I call people tethers when you come out your mouth to disrespect Black Americans. I'm gonna call you a tether if you're a Black immigrant when you disrespect Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. You could say Tariq popularized that word tether, right? But he also created and coined the term FBA, foundational Black Americans. It's about a lineage. It's not an organization. It's about a lineage. And time, what I have been seeing throughout the decades of the 2000s, since the beginning of 2000, late 1990s, but beginning of 2000, this new wave of Black immigrants that have, migrated to America legally and illegal. They come with a different mindset. They don't come with the consciousness of pro-Black. They don't come with the consciousness and the intellect of Black American struggle here in America, or understanding the Black experience here. They do not. They come here for the sole purpose to elevate themselves and their family and to send money back home. No investment, no real investment in the Black community here. They use the resources, they use the privilege that was fought for, blood, sweat, and tears by Black Americans, my elders, my lineage. So they use the Black suffering victories, the victories of the Black American suffering and fight for equality and equal rights to benefit them, their family, and the country that they fled, because they send money back home. They did not stay in their country and fight because they were too scared. It is easier to flee, whether you come here legally or not. And then when they do come here and they settle and they have their kids, they pass down that ignorant mentality to their children, which is the ones we saw mainly during this panel. And even the ones who were not born here, but they fled to come here, they have those same ignorant sentiments of the Black American experience. So I want to start off by playing this clip, and I'm going to play several clips, and we'll talk about it. well effing said. And so let me highlight this real quick because there's Jane says, "Oh Lord, Amanda's from the Caribbean, by the way." No, she's not from the Caribbean. She was born and raised here. Her mother is from the Caribbean. Her father is a foundational Black American. Now, her father did not raise her. And she said her father was not present in her life growing up, but he was a well-educated Black man, Black American man, a foundational Black American man. Her mother is from Grenada. Her mother came here in the 70s because Amanda's 44? She was born in she was born in the 80s. Well, 80 or 81. Her mom probably had to come here in the late 70s. But like I said in the beginning, Black immigrants who came in the 60s and the 70s and even in the 80s, they came with a different mindset. They were more conscious. They were more pro-Black. So starting, let's say, from the 80s to Reconstruction, right? Black immigrants, when you think of the Marcus Garvey, when you think of all these other people that were part of the civil rights movement, when you think of the immigrants that came after the civil rights movement because of the civil rights, after the Civil Rights Act was passed, after the Voting Rights Act was passed, Black people also fought to have the Naturalization Act changed and updated to increase their quota to allow people throughout the diaspora to come here. And so you had Caribbeans, you have people from different countries in Africa allowed to come here. But those Black people came here with a pro-Black consciousness. They understood the American history. They understood Black American history. They understood white supremacy. They understood discrimination. They knew what was going on in America. They knew about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. A lot of scholars from the Caribbean, actually contribute to the education of Black minds here in America. So it's those Black immigrants of yesteryear are not the same of the ones coming here today. The ones coming here in the 2000s, because that young guy, he's in his 20s. So he was born somewhere in the 2000s. His parents came here in the 2000s. A lot of Africans came here, let's say from 95 to today. That's when you started seeing a different type of Black immigrant. They was coming here for self. They didn't give a damn about being pro-Black, the Black struggle, the Black American experience. Her mother knew about the Black American experience, understood it, respected, and to a certain degree, well, not even to a certain degree, I'm pretty sure instilling in her daughter how this country was conceived. You are a Black person, whether it's here in America or anywhere else in this country, just understanding white supremacy. They don't understand that today. They don't care to, because they only come here for money, for personal economic gain. And that's the difference. So I say all that to say, during this debate at Jubilee, all of these immigrants in that room are probably firstborn immigrants or immigrated to this country recently, probably within the last decade or two, or going back to the early 2000s. Because that young man was not born in America. He was born in Angola and he came here with his parents. So they already put it in his brain because his parents had it in their brain. We're just here to economically gain some economic freedom. So you come here and they do get resources specifically for immigrants to get that economic uplift that we have been left out of. But they come here without knowing the history, and then they make ignorant comments of stop being a victim, take accountability. And I will encourage guys, go watch that whole interview. It is really good. She won. She handled each and every person because she handled them with facts, historical facts. I want to play another clip. Oh, and now people are saying that they want to see a debate between Candace and Amanda. Why? Why? It's not necessary for Candace or Amanda to debate each other. Maybe if it was a few years ago, but will it be interesting? Yes. And I said in our Star Report today that Amanda will win. Amanda will win, especially when it comes to the Black American experience. And she's half FBA, Amanda. Just like my son is half FBA. His father is of Jamaican lineage. And I always say he's going to get 2 reparation checks. Reparations here in America and reparations via CARICOM. But anyway, Amanda would definitely win over Candace. Candace is not dumb. She's intelligent. But I will give it to Amanda, but there's no need for it. And you know what? Maybe there is a need because Amanda was frustrated during that Jubilee debate because no one could really challenge her. Now, this Sambo, he's not even an Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom is actually giving him a compliment. But this Black Sambo, Bama Sambo here, he was just all the way ignorant. And I think his name is, he's Black MAGA preacher. She was right. So yes, there were white abolitionists who helped Harriet Tubman and others. But those white people who was helping runaway slaves, such as Harriet Tubman and others, benefited from white supremacy. What was the name of the man who, what was his name? John. He actually was shooting white people to protect Nat Turner and others. Oh my God. In West Virginia. I can't believe I forgot his name. We all should know his name. But those white people during that time, and even coming all the way up to today, even the white people that was helping and part of the civil rights movement, they benefited from white supremacy. They did. Because you were white, you were given opportunities. You were able to help assist and hide runaway slaves because white people, the white police were not knocking down your door saying, what do you have in here? They weren't burning crosses on their lawns. They weren't lynching white people. Maybe unless they found you sleeping with them, but they weren't even if that's the case, they benefited from all of the wonderful things that allotted to an individual who was white. And that in turn allowed those who were empathetic, who had a soul and knew that it was wrong to enslave another human being, that allowed them to help Harriet Tubman and others to help enslave runaways. So when he said, well, she couldn't have done it without white people, Amanda came back brilliantly and said, no. She came back and said, John Brown, thank you. Help, but did not want the slaves equal or whatever. But John Brown, yes, thank you so much, C-Dub. But she said it. If those white people did not have the privilege of indulging in white privilege, they wouldn't be able to help no Black person because they'd be in the same boat. Mind you, in the beginning, going back to the 1600s here in this land, there were a lot of white people who were indentured servants. And they were part of the indentured servitudes. They were indentured servants. So at that time, those white people were not benefiting from white privilege. They were a victim of white supremacy. But for the white elite to stay in charge and in power, to have whiteness stay in power, they said, you know what, you are no longer indentured servitude, indentured servant. So you get to benefit from the privileges, the white privileges of the laws of the land. So she's right. White people were only allowed to help because, yes, they had some type of a conscience and because they benefited from white privilege. But see, these little fake black conservatives here,
Our ancestors wasn't.
He kept calling her a liberal. She's not a liberal. She's a black radical, and there's a difference. She does not. She's not part of the Democrat Party, the Liberal parties, the Republican parties. No. But getting back to him mentioning, and I'm starting to hear that, people, another sound bite that black people don't have a culture, or black culture is trash, black culture is negative. And she quickly said, well, what about white culture? But then he cut her off and went to somebody else. See, if you want to sit up here and if people want to just throw all these negative, comments and accusations on black culture, well, you could say that about any race or group culture. I could say a whole bunch of negative things about white culture. I could say a whole bunch of negative things about Chinese culture, Asian culture, or Japanese culture, Indian culture. But why is everybody focused on black? As if they say we don't have one, or the culture's trash, and that's just not true. But you never say anything, you never criticize, you never critique, you never comment on white culture. Never even comment on Jewish culture. The evils of that, the negatives that come out of that culture. Always black. And so and that is a talking point that's floating around, and you really got to look at the people who are saying it. A lot of them are black immigrants. Some of them are not. Some of them are black Americans. But you have to look at, is this person just wanting attention, likes, clicks, or what have you? Or are they just ignorant? They're not well read. They don't know anything about American history. And here we have another black immigrant here. No white people on the south side of Chicago. Last time I checked. And if there are, was it 5? So what is she talking about? I don't believe that. Yeah, so she kept saying about, and here we go with the black on black crime. So here's the thing. Stop comparing your group of people or where you live at to a whole nother section where you have no part of. You don't pay taxes on that side of the tracks, or that in that town and that other city where suburbia and it's predominantly white. Stop worrying about what white people are doing, what they're not doing. Stop comparing yourself or your community or your race to whiteness. Yes, they have crimes. Yes, they do a lot of demonic things. And if you do look at the FBI stats, some of the crimes you would see black people are doing at a higher rate than a white person. But majority of the crimes on the FBI stats, majority of the crimes in this country are done by white people because there's just more of them. However, she keeps saying we don't care about each other. We hate each other because it's black on black crime. Amanda Seals was white. Right. If your proximity to blackness is at 100% as opposed to less than 1% of whiteness, then what happens to you is going to be happened to you by that said person, that black person. But you have to look at it. It's not about black on black crime. It is about poverty. The more poverty you have in a city, in a particular community, the higher the crime rate increases. The higher the poverty, the decrease in education. Decrease in education, increase in crime when you have an increase in poverty. Let's start there. Because if you just in facts alone, and Amanda Seals could have said that as well. The fact of the matter is, the more poverty you have, the higher the crime rate. That is with any race, any ethnicity, any culture, any gender. And it's been like that since the beginning of time. You don't see drive-by shootings in an upscale neighborhood. Now, they get murders because their murders happens within their household, whether it's the husband killing a wife or vice versa, or drug overdose. It's a different type of crime that happens with the upper class and the rich and the wealthy. But when you are poor, yes, there is more crime because there are more robberies. The people are less educated or not getting a good education. You're not working. You can't find work. You don't have a high school diploma, right? The jobs, the factories, the companies left in your town, in your city, in your state, wiped out hundreds of job positions. Then what are you going to do? Women getting on public assistance. Father can't find work. He drinks, he does drugs because he's depressed or whatever, or he starts selling drugs to make money because there's no work. And then the children you bring into this world, they end up doing the same crimes that the dad or the mother is doing. Or they get caught up in the system because the parents end up getting shot and killed. Or they're born into a family that are not educated, that are ignorant. But that's not for all Black people. So again, going back to the root of the problem, you could sit up here and say it's a lack of love for oneself, but that's across the board for every race. The root of the problem is poverty. If you have a job and you making money, you're not outside committing a crime. But no one on the Black conservative side brought that up. They don't even talk about that, whether it's on Jubilee or on their own social media or in their own little spaces. They don't ever want to address the socioeconomic issues, the socioeconomic disparities that go on in this nation. And it harms Black people at a higher rate. And it's been like that for decades.
I'm being direct
but
to
how
you.
you must not get the attitudes and stuff because you're my sister and I respect you. So
I don't have an attitude.
I'll ask you, do you think we're resilient?
Okay.
In that, yeah.
Exactly. Yes, Black people are resilient. So again, I don't know where that chick, not Amanda, but the chick she was talking to, I don't know where she was coming from or trying to go with her talking points. But she's Nigerian. And I was trying to get the clip from when she was talking about her being Nigerian. And again, these Black immigrants trying to bring in their own personal experience as if it's the same as the Black American experience. And it's not the same. But if you are not educating yourself on our history here in America, then you're going to continue to sound ignorant, be ignorant, and walk around with these non-factual talking points. When we look at Black and white people, right, becoming successful, and this is a question, is it equal or is it inequality, right? Do Black and white people have the same equality when it comes to becoming successful in America? I'm going to say no, but Black people can be a successful here in America. Yes, we can. We could be successful. We could be successful like probably majority or a good portion of the white population here. But there is a difference because when you look at the C-suites in corporate, That's like the creme de la creme positions in corporate America. It is 98% white, men and women. It's just white. So no matter how hard a Black person try to climb that corporate ladder, you have this club that makes sure that it stays predominantly white. So I could be successful. Well, can I become an Elon Musk success? Where is the top 1% that is not in entertainment, that is not in sports? Where are the top 1%? What is the percentage of the top 1% of Black people in America? A Black person who fits in the top 1% in America. How many of those do we have? Maybe one. And this is excluding entertainers and sports. Take The Gilded Age, because I love that show, The Gilded Age. It's a phenomenal show. And the show is really based on the robber barons of the late 1800s. You know, this was towards the end of Reconstruction. Towards the end of the 19th century, the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers. But that show, The Gilded Age, highlights upper class Black elite society. We always had it. Whether it was a small population during slavery, the Black upper class increased after slavery because a lot of Black people left those plantations, went up north, got education, started a business, started a community, lawyers, doctors, educators, all that.
You are the last party in the conference.
Oh, I had a caller. Well, y'all guys could call in because I'm going to go to the phone calls in a minute. So just going back to The Gilded Age. However, even old Black wealthy upper class money never matched the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, and all those upper class white people. White upper class is not the same as Black upper class, and that still perpetuates today. So the last episode of The Gilded Age, you know, where they had the grand ball and they had the Black grand ball. The Black people had balls back then, the upper class Black elite. But that mansion wasn't big like the Vanderbilts. It wasn't as grand. Those upper class white people and those wealthy white people did not even do business or didn't even know the names of a lot of the upper class and wealthy white black Americans during that time. So again, our pathway to success throughout the centuries here in America has always been different from our white counterparts. It's never been equal. So yes, we could be successful, but the equality within it is not. And that is a fact. And I'm trying to just do a brief summary with these talking points because I could do, which I am, do a whole show breaking down the systemic economic inequality of Black Americans. And that's never discussed. Because we say the words, the talking points in the soundbite is wealth gap, wealth gap, wealth gap. And then you have these Black immigrants say, well, if I could do it, you can. Well, you're not really doing it either. Because number one, you had to flee and you came here and you benefited from laws that was fought and bled for by Black Americans. And even here, even now, a lot of Black immigrants are not outpacing Black Americans. But that's for a whole nother show, which I will be doing. Top 1% that ruined the entire country. Yes. Thank you to thought lane. Thomas Sowell broke down the culture of Black Americans mimic is white Southern redneck culture. It's a book titled Black Redneck White Liberals. Okay. Thomas Sowell he is not the pulse of Black culture. Now, his theory is a theory. His talking points on Black culture is a theory. And part of a theory is trying to prove it as if it is fact. So give me an example from that particular book. Because again, I don't want people just throwing out sound bites. Have you read the book? What stuck out the most? What was the most relevant of it? Let me take this call. 646. Hi.
Good day. How are you, Dana? It's my first time coming online, and I am a new subby, and I just wanted to give a shout out to you. I'm very happy that you started this conversation because I think it's something that we needed to have.
Yeah, thank you for calling in. Appreciate you. So, you want to say anything to any of the topics that I talked about?
Yes, I just wanted to add to what you said. You mentioned that the reason why most of the people in our community don't get ahead is because of, not having enough income.
Mm-hmm. Poverty.
I think before the low income happened, what happened mentally with these people?
Mm-hmm.
Their inability, and I'm gonna just be honest, right? Because I live in this community, right? I live in Brownsville, so I see a lot of things, right? So just imagine you go into these communities, and I'm a born American. I am of West Indian descent, but I'm like second generation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm full blown American.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to say is that if you go into an organization that's in Brownsville and you speak a particular way, and because you're at work, right? Obviously, I can switch it on and off. Like even right now, I'm talking to you because this is your place of business. I respect your place of business. I'm going to speak in such a way because there's a time and place for everything, right? So if they don't hear you speaking in the Ibonics that they're used to, they think that you perceive to be better. But it's just like, no, I'm from the same cloth as you. There is a time and place for everything. You do not act this way because we're in this, quote, hood. Keep in mind, it's a hood because it's a hood mentality. The reason why we're in the lack, because the mentality is not cleaned up. Okay? Unfortunate, the people within our community, they can't separate art from reality. So they listen to certain types of music and get carried away, which me and you both know that there is a mental diagnosis for that, right? And on top of them, because weed is legal in the state of New York, you have a whole bunch of people who are smoking but not sitting down with their therapist to make sure that that weed is in alignment with their mental capacity. So it's just a lot.
I agree with you. Especially when we're talking about mental health, right? So it is a lot of things, and listen, and that crosses racial lines when we're talking about someone's mentality, and when we talk about lack of having resilience, or
mental resilience. Mental resilience. We may have physical,
or being able
but not
to
mental
just
resilience.
or being able to overcome. Some of that stuff is passed down from generation to generation, right?
Facts.
So, and then on top of that, because this is always say, I always say this, and I keep saying I'm going to do content on this, and I am, but public policies dictate where we eat, how we live, where we live, our health. So I think it was in the 80s under the Reagan administration, when he took out billions of dollars from mental health organizations, from hospitals. A lot of hospitals closed in Black communities that had hospitals and grocery stores, wiped out any type of mental health resources, and that happened in white sections as well, but it's going to hit Black people even harder. So yeah, mental health, mentality, and I put mentality under the mental health umbrella, that all plays a part. It does. But on top of that, you have public policies that were being passed down or stripped away locally that kind of, ain't no kind of, it put a particular community in poverty. There were no jobs, there were no resources, there were no real. The church is. Oh, I'm actually doing the 3-part series on the church. I'm doing the 3-part series.
The church is the problem. Yeah, the delusion. The delusion that they continue to pass on, because I think even if they shut those things down, if we kept putting mental health, because like I see the Bible as a symbol, right? When I hear the word God, I think of the brain. That's what I think of. So I think people disconnected the body into this entity, right, that has no connection to their body. So they didn't make that correlation that I need to make sure I protect these things by any means necessary. And I understand that they took all these resources away from us, but the library still existed, right?
Yeah.
And now we have the day and age of ChatGPT. In this day and age, there's no excuse. We walk around with a whole smart device. If you're not smart, your phone is.
Yeah. So. And there's no to where we do have, there's no excuse to where you could say, I don't have access to this, that you can have access to it. Some of these things do take money. I'm never going to give excuse to a criminal. Yes. I'm never going to give excuse to someone who just have a whole bunch of excuses for themselves. And I don't think it's so much about accountability. For me, I just think that if people are, if your talking point is, well, the problem with Black America, is that we don't love ourselves and, we want to play victim. No, it's not that. It's a whole bunch of other things that are going on.
Yes.
And if we are not,
absolutely,
and if we are not partaking in our local politics, if we are not trying to work together, as a community, because listen, there are a lot of people, whether you're married or not, living together or not, and especially if you are a single parent, you got to get up and work. Everybody got to get their ass up and go to work. So if you have kids, you got to put them in school, you got to put them in daycare, then you got to pick them up, then you got to come home, then you got to cook, then you got to help them with their homework. Is there time for anything else? If you do want to go to school and pursue, in a career or a trade to elevate yourself, then you're working 24/7, going to school 24. It's a lot. And I get it. We're talking about the average everyday American person, particularly Black person. So with that said, there needs to be more of a community that needs to be had, to actually
help them with that resource of just navigating through the daily stresses of the life of just being overlooked. Because the problem, I think we're definitely agreeing, the issue with white America, they tend to overlook. They lean more into stereotypes. If you don't sound like them and look like them, they are threatened. So if you learn how to kind of talk their language and look the way they look, then they're not as threatened. But if you want to stand in your authenticity, right, and speak maybe creative language, I would call it, these people are not able to make the correlation of the analogies that I think a lot of people in our community tend to talk in.
Right. And let me just say this one last thing before I go to another caller is, listening to these Black conservatives or, or people that talk like them, I have those different, type of talking points.
The wig. Yeah,
it's like the echo chamber, because they think it's a one-trick pony. It's a whole bunch of things as to, if you want to say, okay, why is there a big wealth gap, or why are Black people still at the bottom? It's not just one thing. It's not just, oh, you don't love yourself or lack of accountability. It's a whole bunch of things. And if we're not examining each and everything and then actually coming up with solutions, then nothing is really going to change. So, but yeah, it's very complex to a certain degree. But I appreciate you calling in. Anything else you want to add?
Thank you for having me. No, I chime. This is my first time chiming in, but I listen to you from time to time when I'm on, and I just really am really happy of where this is going because there's certain things that need to be said. So I'm happy for this platform, and best of luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And yes, I do know. I'm from tri-state area, from New Jersey, and we do got to switch it up.
Okay.
When we go to in that office, we got to speak corporate. Got to switch it up, but we know when we come home, and that's one thing about tri-state area. Like it's like we have two faces. We have the work corporate face, and then we have that hood face. Like,
well, okay,
yeah.
and I think they think that we're not being authentic, but it's just like you can't. You know you can't handle this because you're going to misinterpret everything I'm saying because you're going to think I got a chip on my shoulder and I'm secretly wanting to hurt you. So we have to speak like that. It's not that I'm having an unauthentic conversation with you. You know, this is just a place of work.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Enjoy your day.
All right.
Bye.
318.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing fine. Hey, this is Kendrick. I'm calling actually from Louisiana, so the deep south here. I'd like to say this and briefly land my plane. I think one of the factors that has had an impact on Black America, and I'm old enough to know, was integration. I'm sorry, integration. I can remember a time my brothers and sisters, my older brothers and sisters, actually went to an integrated school. And our neighborhoods were integrated. And those neighborhoods at that time were thriving, severely thriving. And when I'm talking about segregation, when integration hit, when we integrated, the resources that it took from us was not just finances, it took our best from our neighborhoods. So our smartest and our brightest were taken. And when you take that from a neighborhood, you don't have the leaders that you need, the leaders who were educated and who understood what society was trying to do with us. So I think that had a very severe impact on us, especially down here in Louisiana. And I'm FBA, I'm a foundational Black American here. So my ancestors have been here for hundreds of years. Obviously, I probably speak in a little bit different tone because, we do speak French as sort of a secondary language back here, but we're FBA here. More or less Creole. But I think that has had a tremendous impact. And I'm an engineer. So I've not only lived in Louisiana, although I'm a native from Louisiana, I've lived out in the Northwest and came back to Louisiana. So the young lady said that you're right. We have to speak in a formal but educated way. But at the same time, what's ironic is that there are a lot of Caucasians who emulate our vernacular.
Yes.
So it's kind of a dichotomy when you think about it, right? So when we're in a professional environment, we obviously have to speak professionally and have to speak in a tone that's understood. But at the same time, their children and some of them actually emulate our vernacular, which is kind of odd when you think about it.
Yeah, let me highlight this real quick. Somebody put this comment up. Who was it? Shop Kiss. Code switching equal we still slaves. No, it don't. No, it don't. Because code switching means that you know how to survive. You're a survivor, and you're not a one-trick pony, especially if you're from the tri-state area, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, and anywhere. If you go out the country, are you still going to come with that American type of attitude? So code switching is necessary. White people code switch. Everybody code switch. If you know that is necessary to code switch. And that does not mean that you are a slave. It does not. You have to talk a certain way when you get in certain spaces. You should at least. But yeah, I mean, if you're calling up a company and it's customer service, do you want them to talk to you like they're talking to a friend? No, you have your work voice and you have your outside everyday voice. So, and then tri-state area, we are jaded, and which I'm very thankful to be. So I just want to throw that out there. Code switching does not mean you are still a slave. It means you know how to survive.
Yeah, I agree with you. And obviously, you tri-state, we're down south. So we have a little bit different of a vernacular. But I mean, that's not like I'm down south.
No, but the fact is that y'all code switch too down south, because especially in Louisiana, New Orleans, because I saw a clip. I think it was like a TikTok clip to where you had the educated New Orleans The people who never went to college, they look at the ones who went to college and became professionals, saying, "Oh, you're not from here anymore." It's a difference. It's a difference to where you know someone who went to college and talk a certain way, but you all from the same neighborhood, as to someone who still talk like they're from the hood. Not saying that you're dumb, you know, but it is a difference, and the South has it too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the South definitely has, that type of scenario. And one other thing I like to mention, too, when we talk about code switching, it would be, I equivocate this to this. So, I'm an engineer, so I've messed with software engineer and also messed with process control engineer. So when I speak in terms of engineering, if you understand what I'm saying, no one will understand what I'm saying, but someone who can conceive what I'm saying. So at that point, that's not, it is code switching, but at the same time as being a professionalist at the same time. So I will agree in both phases of it. But yeah, I'm from Louisiana. So one thing I would also like to say too about our culture down here, our FBA culture, and the music that we have, which we created all forms of music. And I don't know if you've heard of a form of music called Zydeco that's down here, probably only native to Louisiana. But it's a growing trend of music that I think a lot of non-FBA cultures are trying to emulate, but you can't emulate something that you've never created either.
Yeah, and I'm not. Listen, it's like I'm not familiar with Louisiana culture, but they do have a rich culture. So
Yes, we do.
yeah. So yeah,
Mhm.
but I appreciate you
Yeah,
calling
we're
in.
from.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no problem. Hey, listen, I appreciate you. First time caller, and I always listen to you online. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. All right. I think this will probably be the last call. I'm doing good on time. 424. Hello?
Hey, Dana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you so much for having this live. I wanted to share, just like the gentleman who just spoke to you, education, from my perspective, is key for our community. I'm a Black American. My family is from the South, from Chula, Mississippi, and Natchez, Mississippi. And my parents were in the military, so we lived all over the world. And you know this as well. Within our family, we have people who who do well, who have a lot of money, and people who are not doing so well, and we all help each other. So, in terms of the like code switching at your work or on your projects, that's something that is, I believe, part of our superpower, and that we can work with anyone from any community at any level, and then also go back home and talk to our people, and they know we're real and authentic. And I'm really proud of the foundational Black Americans who are on code and who are making a huge difference in our lives. And in the chat, I even put in, there's David Robinson building low-income housing within Houston. Michael Jordan opened a clinic within, I believe, North Carolina. Black people are helping other Black people when they can. And yeah, we are just doing better and better. And we are not just one, as you know, monolithic group who is what they call the Ray Ray and Pookies. That's not us.
Right.
That's not all of us.
Right. And listen, every group of people have their Ray Rays and Pookies. I sometimes I just get fascinated. It's like, why do people always just focus on Black Americans, picking on us, focusing on us, emulating us? Like we are always the focus. It's like, okay, damn, we don't have as much wealth as you do, as other groups, the Asians and white people, but you're still focused on us. So, I just think for me that when it comes to Black America, we do need to produce more engineers, doctors, lawyers, more professionals, more people who are skilled in trade. That has been lost. So we talk, and even from like to gain wealth or to gain economic mobility, we need to start producing our youth into these high paying fields, being more competitive in the job market. And I don't see that being done as quickly or as big as it should. you know. So it's, you know, there are some areas, there are a lot of areas that needs to be fixed and tweaked. And I look at it, listen, I'm 49, really Gen X right about now, we're the ones that needs to be straightening shit out, you know, making sure, okay, where do we want Black America to go? What path, what direction? And then what do we have to do to get it there? And I always said this is going to be the talented 10th to save Black America or to uplift Black America. And it's very important to invest in our youth. We have to invest in the kids, because a 10-year-old is going to be 20 10 years from now. Do we want
I totally agree with you.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so do we want that 20-year-old in 10 years from now to be on his way to prison, or to be graduating college or starting his business, you know, in plumbing or whatever? You know, what do we want for our future?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And you know this too. I look at my family, like my nieces and nephew, my little baby cousins, and that whole thing with STEM, with the science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm actually a software engineer, and I've been very fortunate because we went to school with, you know, folks in different areas. We were always told, "Oh yeah, what university will you go to?" It was assumed that we were going to go to university. And also with my cousins and my nieces and nephews, we talk about that. What do you want to be when you grow up? And then we talk about, oh, let's get these scholarships, you know, together for you. And you're right, we have to guide them in the best way that we can. And this sounds really strange, but they learn by just watching you and see what you do. So yeah, I'm going to land my plane. I'm thrilled with what you're doing. I really appreciate what you're doing. You're making a huge difference. And again, I'm so thankful for FBAs, incredible, intelligent people. And it's been just amazing to see what's been happening the last couple of years.
Right.
And more power to you. Okay.
Thank you. Same to you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. So
You are the last party in the conference.
yeah, I don't want that sound now when somebody hang up. It was another thing that I wanted to highlight. Who is this chick here? Who the fuck do she think she is? Afeni. You are not Afina Shakur. And I have a problem with these young people. Again, I could just tell they are indoctrinated with bullshit. So why am I bringing up her? She calls herself, she has the little rainbow flag. She says she's an abolitionist. Pain in the ass for the ruling class, pro-Black, pro-ho, an organizer, advocate, she, her. Bitch, you are not going to be the leader of anything Black. See, this is what we need to watch out for, because she's young. She's young and she's already indoctrinated in that liberal bullshit.
They can do it when it's. We were just brutally attacked by Capitol Police. Somehow, some way, January 6th, they did not do their fucking jobs, but today they can do it. Today they can do it when it's Black and brown people, when it's marginalized groups. Somehow, some way, they find the motherfucking strength to fucking shove people down on and fucking tear gas us. Peaceful fucking protesters. We are peaceful fucking protesters. At the end of the day, you see what the fuck they're doing. You see what the fuck they're doing. We are out here because there are 11,000 and counting Palestinian people that have been slaughtered by the Zionist regime. That is Israel. We are out here because we are fucking tired of our fucking tax dollars going to kill children in another fucking country.
Yes, too much too much cursing. Why would anybody want to take her seriously? So they're protesting in front of the DNC headquarters when protesters against genocide were brutalized by police at DNC headquarters. Okay, fine. So let's fast forward, right? She gets arrested. And I'm trying to figure out why was she arrested? I don't understand. Like, what makes her significant enough to be uplifted as if she did something. She didn't do anything. I heard that she was basically disrupting at a subway station. And then she jumped a turnstile and she got caught, got arrested. But see, with all that made up propaganda protests, they prop up young, misinformed, indoctrinated idiots like this. And I don't have a problem calling somebody young an idiot at all. Oh, wait, I have another phone call. 347.
Yeah, hello?
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was watching you with the young girl when you said something about her being an idiot or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you calling her out her name because you don't agree with it. I mean, I respect your opinion, and I'm gonna tell you why. The one thing about I don't agree with her being so pro-Palestine, but I just found out that through my own resources that during apartheid, Palestine was one of the people or one of the countries that was against it, even though they was in Israel and Israel was for it. So I kind of give her a little bit of a pass on it. I don't because I'm not really a historian. The historians told me that. So I take their word for it. I don't fact check everything because it's not really my area and it's not that important to me. But I respect your opinion. I just don't agree with it.
Well, which part you don't agree? That she's an idiot?
Yeah, that you called her an idiot, and I do agree. But I do agree with. I disagree with you calling her an idiot, but I do agree with you with her profanity and her hostility and everything. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm just showing you how I interpreted it. But I don't agree because even me, I was because that lady you had up, Amanda Seals, I think if I'm saying her name right. She's one of my favorite people. Now I'm FBA, and she's not an FBA, but ironically, she's more FBA mindset than some FBAs I know, if you know what I mean by FBA. And she was going at those conservatives, and I was going at them too. But one of the things I even had to catch myself, I started calling them coons and everything, which is not fair because I disagree with you. I think we have to live in a society where we could agree to disagree without badgering each other. That's all I'm trying to say. But let me hear your response to that.
Wait 1 second. Yeah, she's an idiot. I'm not changing that. Why are they celebrating her? What was she protesting? That the Trump brought in the National Guards in DC? That shithole? High crime? Why not? Why are you protesting that? Did the crime or did the shootings, did the robberies decrease since the National Guards or the federal police, been in there? So if you notice, because I've seen a protest over the weekend in DC, protesting the National Guards being there, 90% of those people were white. They already gentrified DC, but 90% were white. There are a lot of black residents, a lot of black people in DC that welcome the National Guard to come in because the DC Metro Police are not doing their job. And the mayor of DC 2 years ago wanted the National Guards to come in because crime was just getting out of hand. So when I see these activists, whether they're young or old, they are agents. They are propaganda plants that are placed to cause a situation, to make it exaggerate, to become bigger than what it really is, to create a false fake narrative of some type of injustice. So I look at it like this. Are you supposed to be protesting for black people of DC or the Palestinians? Make up your mind, because Palestinians, this is not Palestine. Let me finish. This is America. And I'm seeing that they're coming after younger people who just so happen to be this LGBTQ that's supposed to be these little activists. A lot of them are immigrants, black immigrants, but they're coming after young people because it's so easy to indoctrinate young people of today because they are not well read or taught about the truth. They're definitely not being taught the truth in schools. but the parents are not teaching them the truth either. So they are easily manipulated by these wealthy liberals who are telling them, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. So this is not her mission. She's being bought and propped up for some bullshit, which makes her an idiot because she's a follower and not a leader. What are you yelling and shouting and protesting for? What exactly?
No, I agree. I agree with you. Everything you said. I agree with you 99% of it, except for when you call her out a name, but that's a different
And
issue.
I called her an idiot.
I wanted to
So
get
what?
your.
She's an idiot. She's an adult. She's not a minor. She's an idiot.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I'm gonna get off that for a second. I wanted to ask you that picture you put up with Ananda. Did you watch that with Ananda Seals? Did you watch that whole thing?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Well, I some of those guys that were on there. They got some of them be on YouTube and social media, WhatsApp and all of that stuff. And I was going at them, but they wouldn't respond to me because I had an arsenal because they're basically like pro-Trump. I'm not saying all of them, but for the most part. And I had a lot of anti-Trump stuff, and I wanted them to cam me up like I'm talking to you now, and they wouldn't do it. So I just wanted to think, what do you think of her and the outcome of that? Do you think she did good?
Yeah, I said it earlier in the show. She ethered each and every one of them. Those Black conservatives, especially a lot of Black conservatives that I see today, they are not the same of the Black conservatives of yesteryears. When we look at Chicago, the people who built Jet, Essence, BET, those Black conservatives that built corporations and companies and employ Black people. When you look at who was the first Black mayor of Atlanta? I forgot his name. He died. But all those Black-owned businesses that he brought in for and gave them contracts and employed Black people, those were all Black conservatives. Those are not the Black conservatives of today. So the Black conservatives are today are not well read. They are ignorant. They don't understand history. So yeah, she ethered each and every one of them. Hello?
Yeah, she's really good. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. But let me take this one last phone call because I'm about to wrap it up. I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, I'm the one who called that time when Joe Brown and I couldn't hear you. That was me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured it out now, though. Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right.
Thanks for everything.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, last caller is 202 area code.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. I'm not going to say my name. I am in the DMV area. I remember seeing her on. We're talking about the wannabe Shakur.
Yeah, I don't even think that's her real name.
I know. She was scrolling across my timeline because I'm active in social media. Then I started digging, and I was like, wait a minute. Why does she have Tupac's mom name? It was a question mark. Then I said, why is she on TikTok? So it turns out the reason why she was arrested because some youth were jumping the metro train stalls. When you're supposed to pay your fare, they were jumping. And the youth were being arrested, as they should be, and she was reporting. So I'm not sure how. What they did leave out was the section between her being recording and her being pepper sprayed. It's a whole lot of information missing right there. And next thing I know, she ends up in jail. And the picture you're seeing now, the video is her being let out of jail. And I'm confused because when I started digging further, I'm like, okay, what is your stance? You're all over the place. I have no problems with the alphabet community. That's what I call them. I have no problems with the alphabet community, but then you're with Palestine, then you got a problem with the Jewish people. She's like an agent of chaos to me.
That's a perfect word.
She's leading everyone in her age group to nowhere.
Right.
Because if you stand for everything, you are not on a mission to any singular thing, no singular cause. That's how she appears to me.
And I look at that as you are a follower. You are bought and paid for. Yeah, because who's backing you? You know, who's financially backing you. And I think it is a disrespect. They pick these names. Oh, Afina Shakur. You don't even know the history, the proper history of Afina Shakur, the Black Panthers, the Black radical Black liberation movement. They don't, but they just think, okay, they claim pro-Black and all this other stuff, but you're not fighting not one Black cause. You're
Not one Black cause. She's all. If you ask any youth in DC what's going on in Palestine, they can't tell you.
Right. Now,
but you're at a Palestine protest. They cannot tell you. And then my other question is, like, really, how is she able to live in DC? Most of the youth I know here are young adults. They usually have a roommate because the cost of living is extremely high. I talk to them and they tell me how much they're paying for a 1-bedroom studio. And I'm like, that's my mortgage. That tells you how old I am. I'm like, that's a mortgage. And I'm trying to figure out who is supporting her. So it makes me ask a lot of questions, like as far as identity and what she's representing. To me, she comes out like an agent of chaos.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. I have nothing else to say, but that's just how I feel.
Well, I want to ask you a question about how do you feel about the Trump bringing in the National Guards into DC recently?
It's nice when you bring the National Guard in and you're still having a ballroom picnic. You didn't take the National Guard to where they need to be. If they're at the Smithsonian, they all the way uptown where the lobbyists live, where the diplomats live, where people who go to work every day actually live and go to work. You're taking them to places where there is no problem.
Oh, so they're not.
Of course,
even
it looks good.
So they're not in the.
They're not where they need to be. They're not where they need to be. I'm gonna put it like that. We even have a large Hispanic community here. They go to work every day.
Well, are they? I wonder, are they arresting any of the illegals?
I really can't say that. I just know that they're uptown with people who are able to can go pay for a whole VIP seat at a club. So that's where they're at.
So then the Black residents of DC are not being targeted, basically.
No, man, we are not, because
they're not there.
How do I say this? We know not to go up there.
So they're okay. So the National Guards are really not in the high crime areas in DC. They're where the tourists. They're where the tourists.
No, they are with the tourists. They're with the tourists. Who you want to arrest? The tourists?
No, they want to protect them. Okay, so
there's no one to arrest.
Because it's like, okay,
you're not where you need to be. You are not in high crime areas. You're not where you wasting tax dollars. That's how I feel. You're wasting tax dollars.
Right.
Instead of going to help where there's a real crisis in America going on.
Right.
That's how I feel.
And that makes perfect sense because, again, using Black crime stats, Black suffering, so gives you a reason to bring in a National Guard, but your concern is just protecting those national monuments and the tourists, not really going into the quote unquote hood to make sure that crime is completely decreasing, lowering crime and protecting that community. So, but you're going to use it as an excuse to bring them in. So yeah, so Black people are not being targeted.
No, we know not to go up there. I live in Prince George's County, where we going piggybacking on the previous conversation, like, we are concerned about our children's education. We bring up those types of questions. We bring up the hard questions on the school boards. I'm a member of the school. I'm on that school. Well, not. I am actively voicing my opinion about how we do need to push our children into coding, into AI, into learning Python, like pushing that for all of our population, and pushing financial education, pushing languages besides Spanish and French.
Right.
We need to do those things if we want our children to be able to compete in the field of technology, which is what everybody else is doing? Why can't the kids learn Mandarin? Why can't they learn Portuguese? Why can't they learn something else that they actually will use in the real world?
True. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. But like you said, you are active in the school system.
We are active. Like
very
we are active here trying to get our children into Ivy League schools. We don't give them a cheat code, but we give them the resources, passing those entrance exams, how to write essays, how to display themselves when they are on those entrance interviews. We're training our kids here because we know this is what's needed to get to the next level.
Right. Okay.
Because we don't want another generation of Pookie Ray Rays and baby mamas.
Right. Exactly. Well, thank you, caller. I appreciate you calling in.
No problem. I enjoyed your show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day. All right, guys, listen.
You are the last party in the
I need
conference.
to fix these settings. I don't like that. Oh, maybe I need to mute this here so that people won't hear it. Anyway, guys, listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I did highlight some comments here. Poverty, dysfunction, and trauma. Absolutely, yes. Soul is considered successful. No, Thomas Sowell, he in his 90s too, but he's still out there, creating content. He is successful, but that doesn't mean I necessarily agree with a whole bunch of his theories. Code switching to slaves. Hello, Queen Dana and Room B1. High average, the ancestors. Thank you so much for Thought Lane for sending in the super chat. Appreciate you so much. Matthew says, "Oh Lord, Amanda is from the Caribbean." Yes, no, she's not from the Caribbean. I said she was born and raised here. Her mother is, but her father is FBA. I don't have a problem with Black immigrants, especially when when you are pro-Black and Black American history, American history. I don't have when your conscience is aligned in the right place. I don't have a problem with Black immigrants. I don't. My son's father, his family is Jamaican. We all family. I didn't have a problem with them. It wasn't oh, you American this. No, his mother she didn't want no white person in her home. But she came in the 60s that she was very conscious of Black liberation and the history of Black America and American history. Now, my son's father was born here and, we had a kid or whatever. So I always say my son's getting 2 checks. So it's when you come to me with your ignorance, an outsider coming into this country with your ignorance, whether you are a white immigrant, Hispanic immigrant, it doesn't matter. All immigrants had at one point, and illegals at one point or another, has said some slick shit about Americans, particularly Black Americans. And I have a problem with that. And I have a problem with illegals coming here. So again, as far as Black America, there's a lot of work we need to do. And it's really up to us adults to invest in our youth, to invest in our children, to invest in our community. That's the only way we're going to see real progress. But shout out to Amanda Seals for doing the damn thing with the Jubilee debate. And I'm solely disappointed in all those so-called Black conservatives because they were so ignorant and not well educated in anything, just about anything. Do better, people. All right, guys. Stay tuned for the Man Up Show tonight. We pre-recorded it earlier today. Like I said, this is August. I'm trying new things in the month of August so that I could roll out, a more consistent, aligned format in September coming into the fall. So please share this video, like this video, subscribe, hit the bell button to get all notifications. Make sure you comment below in the comment section. And I will see you guys live again Wednesday for Migrant Crisis Wednesday. That's this Wednesday. All right, guys. Oh, and thank you to all the callers that called in. I really appreciate you. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye. I didn't upload my outro. Here we go. Oh, there go the music. All right, guys. Bye.